staff, or management of visionary-related entertainment.
Aloha Maui Nui. Hello, this is Josh Porter.
And Brian Thomas.
Welcome to
and
the
Jason Burkhart.
There he is. That's some timing, Jay. Nice job. Welcome to the Solar Coaster, folks. We got Jason in transit, and he kindly called in. Where are you, baggage claim, OGG?
I am at baggage claim.
Nice, nice. So it's really going to be a cool show here. We have Brian Thomas in the studio. Thanks so much for coming in. Fairwinds Wealth Management, independent owner, proprietor, additional terms, I'm not sure.
Chief Trash Taker Outer. Great to be here.
Brian's going to help us out talking about ESGs and ETFs and things like TAN and PBW. Is it right?
Yeah, and the context of how it fits into ESG, environmental, social governance part of investing.
And it seems to me a really important time. Jay and I just got back from, or Jay just getting back right now, from Solar Power International Salt Lake City 2019 North America Smart Energy Week. The bastion and center of all things energy in North America, all things renewable energy. Jay, what do you think, man?
Oh, I mean, it was a really, really impressive show, and we've seen just how much progress everybody can make in a year. This was our third SPI, and yeah, I can't tell you how smart all this energy is really becoming.
Yeah, what did Nico say? Something. It's like drinking from a fire hose. Like there's so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's so much going on out there. Really good experience.
And you guys were the social media outfit, so I think that's pretty impressive that the Maui guys at this show in the United States and in the world for the most part are incorporating this technology. You've got the technical background to understand it, but also you're disseminating it, and you've got the show. So it's kind of a vital spot, and it's neat to be a part of the show, actually.
Yeah, Jay, I was just giving Brian the kind of the highlights of it, and I was having a hard time choosing which thing to talk about, and it was, and it was kind of an interesting role, Brian, and thanks for bringing that up. And basically we were working as live correspondents specifically for SETS, which is the group that puts together Solar Power International North America Smart Energy Week. It is the largest gathering of renewable energy professionals in North America annually. It was in Salt Lake City this year. It's been in Vegas and Anaheim previous years. Next year is Anaheim, right, Jay?
Correct.
Back to Anaheim. So we're looking forward to that. And, we had a chance to collaborate with some really amazing people. And basically what we did was we went around the show and interviewed all of the kind of our pick of the most innovative companies and kind of got in there early and did a long form interview and did a little bit of short kind of shout out stuff. And then SETS would push that to their Instagram channel. And we would just be, all over the Megatrons and things like that. And it was super cool, and it was really fun, and met just wonderful people.
And the fact that they come to you to talk about, okay, who may we partner with or so, I mean, the highest level of people in the industry, it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
because they know that you've got this big picture that they may or not have, and they want to look if there's any uncovered stones out there.
Yeah, and I think that it speaks more to Hawaii than it does to us individually. It's really just the fact that we're here in this kind of petri dish of renewable energies for the last 10 years and kind of learning as we go about storage, about panels, about smart grid stuff and so we were able to kind of peel back the onion a bit further, I think, on some of these things, which was super fun, and we're gonna get a chance to hear. Today's show is with Raghu Belur of Enphase Energy, talking about his forthcoming product Ensemble. Now, Ensemble is, I think we have to say, Jay, that's probably the kind of the pinnacle of the conversation. I mean, there were some brilliant things happening there, really exciting stuff. Now, Ensemble has not been released yet. It's due to be released any month now, basically. And it's very special on a lot of levels. And Raghu, we met with him, one of the co-founders, and his co-founder Martin wasn't there, at the Peary Hotel about an hour or so before show open. And we're going to get a chance to listen to that interview now. So really excited about that. So, all right. So let's jump into our housekeeping. We'll get over to news and events, and then we'll hear from Raghu about this microinverter revolution. What do you guys say?
Absolutely.
Okay. Hey, folks. Aloha. We are the Solar Coaster, a renewable energy themed talk show right here in lovely Maui County. It can be found Fridays at 1:05 p.m. on Ko'oi 1110 a.m. Also some FM stations, 96.7 FM Central Maui, 96.5 FM Westside, 98.7 FM Upcountry.
www.solar-coaster.com is where you can find all our old shows, and shortly this one as well. More to the point, we've been uploading, as Brian was saying, a whole lot of social media stuff. Our YouTube is just chock full of new and interesting interviews with all the folks that we met over at SPI. Do check that out. I'm still in the process of uploading more content as we go here, but go to solar-coaster.com and you can click right into YouTube or SoundCloud, where all the shows are stored.
Absolutely. We got some great podcasts, locations, iTunes, Stitcher, and TuneIn. You can always just say, hey, Siri, play Podcast Solar Coaster, and it should pop up.
Or Alexa, or I use Pocket Cast Android.
You kind of do that to people.
Jay thinks it's a bad joke that I do that because it might pop up like in their cars when they're listening. So sponsors, we got some great sponsors and possibly some new ones from SPI. So we're looking forward to making those announcements once they've been confirmed. But Sundrum Solar, Pantech Design, LG Chem, all of these fine folks we've been in touch with. They're doing amazing things. We'll talk more about that shortly. This is a call-in show. If you'd like to peek in and make a point or give us a question, 808-242-7800 is the call-in line. We will jump over to our Pantech Design Minute and come back with news and events.
Pantech Design Minute number 6, Smart Demand Control and Load Management. The Adapt Energy Automation Package optimizes your use of available clean energy when it is abundant and less expensive, like during low tariff or off-peak times.
By working together, the Adapt Energy Automation and the Sonnen EcoLink systems decrease load usage and discharge of your home battery when it matters most to fully manage and maximize energy usage in your home.
For example, during time of use (TOU) windows, the EcoLinks and Adapt EA package can make adjustments in your home to drastically reduce your energy usage without disrupting your lifestyle.
So first, the EcoLink system could effectively flood the peak period by using clean, stored energy from your battery to power the home rather than relying on the grid. Secondly, load shedding commands could be used to maximize and extend the EcoLink's stored energy. For example, lowering the shades, dimming the lights, increasing the thermostat, and turning off non-essential appliances, which would decrease your energy consumption by 2,000 watts. For a 10 kilowatt hour Sonnen EcoLink system, that's an additional 2 hours worth of energy.
This has been the Pantech Design Minute.
Pantech Design is a really, that looks like Jay dropped this, huh? So Pantech Design is a really cool organization. We did have an opportunity to interview them at SPI, learn about some of their new updates. You know, one of the main things that kind of my takeaway with Pantech is, and they're going to be out here as well shortly, I think first week of December. So get a chance to talk about smart homes, about batteries, about how to modulate batteries and make them work better for your home. Just a really, I would say, innovative group of people and working with industrial grade technology made to stand the test of time. And then we may ask ourselves, well, you know, of course it's important, but you know, why is it really important? And I just discovered two really interesting things about Pantech. First of all, the types of chemistry they are working with presently, lithium iron phosphate. You know, one of the only chemistries that has even a shot at lasting, you know, decades. The other chemistries that I've seen, and I've seen the charts and the graphs and the fall-offs and the cycles versus time, they really, it's really hard pressed to reach that kind of a life cycle. So lithium iron phosphate, high-grade lithium iron phosphate, is the chemistry they're working with in partnership with Sonnen at the moment. And then also in terms of the technology and the decisions they're making inside of these panels, right? They're using literally, you know, industry commercial quality pieces that if you know, not only will this protect and stand the test of time in your home, but let's say you're working with the utility in this term virtual power plant capacity. Utility is really going to want to have some robust technology to control, you know, things, assets, storage assets and stuff like that, or get access to that. And they're going to want to be interacting with that level of quality, industry quality stuff. So that's a bit about Pantech. I really like those guys. Very excited to learn more. Time for news and events, Brian. All right. There is boatloads to talk about. We're going to chat a little bit about Hawaii and Maui shortly. We do have Brian here, so we'll get a chance to talk about what's going on in the finance world a tad. But I did want to touch base on some of these articles that are kind of spitting out about solar power from Solar Power World. So this one here is, and they're going to talk just briefly. They're good kind of reference points, I guess, Brian, for Solar Power International. So you want to get a feel for what's going on in storage, just a little smattering of it. These are great articles to check out. This one is Solar Power World by Kelly Pickerel, September 25th. And basically the title is Battery and Energy Storage Highlighted SPI 2019. Now I'll tell you this, all of the the technologies that she references in this article, we did long form interviews with the executive teams. So we'll be actually releasing them on this show in the upcoming months. The first of which is today, and that's Raghu Belur of Enphase Energy. And she doesn't mention Raghu here because he was doing kind of like meetings in the hotels rather than at the show floor. But she does talk about the SunPower Equinox storage system. And this one, Brian, is pretty interesting because SunPower, are you familiar with SunPower, the company?
Yeah.
So
SPWR ticker symbol.
there you go. That's like you speak stock ticker symbol. So SunPower is kind of the granddad of the industry. They've been around since the very beginnings, and they have they're known for premium quality solar panels. Recently, over the last couple of years, as have other companies, they branched out into other equipment, right? And they have something called the SunPower Equinox program. Equinox are not just panels, but they're also incorporate microinverters, SunPower branded microinverters, and also racking and clips and various pieces of the puzzle of getting these systems installed. I believe EcoSolar Hawaii out in Oahu is the only company that is presently Equinox certified.
Gotcha.
And there are other companies, of course, on Maui and Oahu that can carry the SunPower product. Now, SunPower, so they're known for these great panels, right? Now they're moving into this other equipment. And of course, the not final, but one of the largest remaining pieces is solar plus storage, right? So they launched a product, and SunPower Equinox Storage is the name of the product. It is a lithium, an LFP, a lithium iron phosphate system, and to me, it did look like a pretty exciting step. And so they're not available presently. We're going to see them soon. It's a big box about the size of a refrigerator. But one of the things they've done that is interesting is that they've taken the inversion and the sub panels and all the different equipment and put it into another box, right? So it looks really clean. If you look at a solar plus storage system, whether and predominantly the two that you'll see these days for the most part are usually it's a SolarEdge inverter, and then a Tesla Powerwall or a SolarEdge inverter and an LG Chem battery bank. But the amount of BOS or balance of system electrical equipment that's on the side of usually it's in a garage or on the side of the house, it kind of surprises people.
Gotcha.
And these guys, and SunPower, along with a handful of other companies, they were walking around with these examples of what your side of your roof, what side of your house is going to look like, right? And it's basically looks like, just conduits, and there's panels, and there's breakers, and there's all kinds of equipment. And they're saying, we're not doing that. We're doing something entirely different. We're making it really clean and aesthetic, and it's going to look like, an appliance in your home rather than, a power plant on the side of your house.
So the form factor is more condensed and more less individual parts out there.
Yeah, and what's neat, and that speaks to another point for SunPower. They are the provider of that equipment. And so now you've got SunPower storage, SunPower, a lot of the BOS is SunPower, a lot of the on-roof BOS is SunPower, and the panel is SunPower.
What is BOS?
Balance of system. Electrical equipment, right?
Gotcha. Okay.
So when you think in that terms of that whole arc, like you've got everything from storage to inversion to sub-panels to to racking, to penetrations, to panels, to microinverters, everything together is SunPower. So if something goes wrong, there's no finger pointing.
Right.
And our favorite, phrase in the industry is one neck to choke.
One neck to choke.
We love that phrase, right? So it's one neck to choke, and it's a from a company that's been around for a while, and by all accounts will likely be there in the future. So we will be able to cover that in the near future, and We talked to the Deepia is the fellow's name that we spoke with there, and we have I believe a promised interview with the CEO. I think his name is Tom, if I'm not mistaken.
Do you see that as a trend where the big companies or companies that offer, say, certain parts want to kind of vertically integrate to be able to control it?
100%. Yeah. So there, if previously, if you were an inverter manufacturer, and then you were out there vying for the inverter business, and then you have different sectors you could work in and try to dominate different sectors and broaden your market share. But nowadays, if you look at any of these guys, whether they're the inverter guys like SolarEdge, they've gone across to batteries, they've gone across to electric vehicle chargers. They've really expanded their offering. I even saw that just after we interviewed the SolarEdge guys, they had created a integrated DC optimizer with a PV panel package. They had 5 or 6 suppliers, and they're labeling it SolarEdge in Europe right now, right? So it's like, everybody is broadening out into the other areas, and that may or may not be a good thing. On the one neck to choke front, that sounds pretty cool, right? But you need to know what your core competencies are. If
Right.
you try to do everything, that could be problematic.
And that's where companies like Enphase, I mean, are doing great, and they clearly offer something that the market wants and is desiring.
I think Enphase is really special because what they're doing is they're innovating at the software level primarily, both hardware and software and silicon level. But they're innovating at software level. To me, says there's too much to even get into it. Jumping into Enphase, but so SunPower is one example, and then another one that they reference here is Panasonic. So the SunPower system is called the SunPower Equinox storage system. Panasonic is launching the Evervolt, and it's kind of got a similar. It looks similarly in terms of its presentation. Now, Panasonic did a bunch of neat things. Once again, we did a long-form interview with their staff there. We'll release that shortly. It's a video as well. The Panasonic Evervolt is kind of neat. Now, Panasonic is an interesting company because they have they make cells, right? They're a provider of battery cells for many organizations and many companies around the world. So they're really quite dominant in that area. And then they also are a dominant panel manufacturer. They come at it from kind of an interesting way, right? That's a unique position. Now, their panels, the HITs, the HITs, they're known within the industry as very, very good panels at a competitive price point, right? So they're kind of like, they're coming at it from these two areas of expertise.
It's surprising that they didn't, because they make the batteries and the panels, that they didn't integrate that earlier,
Well, they were working in partnership with Pika. This is turning into like
I see.
The who's who of M&A activity over the last couple of months. But Pika was just bought by Generac.
Gotcha.
And so now Panasonic is doing something, and it looks very similar. Admittedly, the Panasonic offering that they've been working, it looks very similar to the Pika offering in form factor, in layout. Now, in terms of what it actually does and how it relates to this new Generac version of Pika, we don't know yet. With one of the things that was neat about Panasonic, and we'll get into the specifics of this solar plus storage offering that they have here. But of course, you could now have a Panasonic panel. You could have an Evervolt, and we could have this Panasonic Evervolt system. And then you've got these two major pieces of the puzzle covered by Panasonic, which is one of the largest electrical companies in the world, right? Based out of Japan, right? They're a Japanese company. Yep. So one of the neat things about the Evervolt system, and just it stood out. It's kind of funny. It's very simple actually, but beyond those expertise areas, they have an AC coupled system and a DC coupled system, right? What does that mean? Well, AC coupled means you've got inversion at the PV system, and you got inversion at the battery system, right? So it's connected via AC, coupled via AC.
So if you had Enphase microinverters up at the panel level, then you can bring it in. So in other words, you can bring in AC or DC. So
AC is like a really good, easily retrofittable kind of system architecture, AC coupling, right? And then they also have a DC coupled system, and they had these two on two sides of the actual booth, right? So the AC coupled version was white, and the DC coupled version was black. And I thought, oh well, that's great. We'll never pick the wrong one.
Yeah, so it just gives you more flexibility then.
Right. I might understand we have 2 minutes left, Gary?
Yes.
Okay. So we're only going to get through one article of a dozen here. So the next one in this article, Solar Power World, another system that we are planning to do a long form interview with the lead staff, is the Generac system. The Generac is actually the Pika system branded Generac. But what's neat about that, 2 million generators are deployed across the United States via Generac, tremendous client base, and they're moving into the solar plus storage business.
Yeah.
So really important to watch. And Pika, their technology has always been super innovative. They're a DC coupled system, at least they have been up until now. Very, very powerful, very good expandability on the energy front. We've installed them. They are, you can install them. They're functional and they work, right? You get a minute left. So it's very exciting to see Generac, Panasonic, and SunPower as kind of three of the top energy storage offerings from SPI. In addition to that, we have Enphase, which wasn't offered here this year. And there's about 3 others we can talk about too. We will in this show. But Enphase, we're going to hear the long form, which I would say may end up being on top in about a month or two on all these fellas here. But we'll have to see, right? So, Gary, are you ready to turn over to our commercial? LG is a leader in the home electronics industry and manufactures some of the most popular PV panels, as well as many other appliances we've come to know and appreciate over the years. The same LG brand offers the LG Chem Resu battery line for your home energy storage needs. Here in Hawaii, their primary model is the LG 10H Resu with 9.3 kilowatt hours of usable capacity. The LG 10H Resu can be used both to maximize consumption of solar energy at home and also functions as a source of backup power in the event that the grid goes down. LG Chem has increased production of their battery line for Hawaii's renewable energy solar market. Contact your local solar provider to learn more about the LG Chem 10H Resu battery.
Sundrum Solar is the manufacturer of a revolutionary thermal collector that fits on the underside of your standard PV panel to maximize energy capture per square foot. The Sundrum Solar Hybrid PVT system, combined photovoltaic and thermal, holds the world record for peak efficiency, capturing an astounding 86% usable energy. Learn how Sundrum Solar vastly improves electric, heating, and cooling economics at sundrumsolar.com.
Pantech Design is ushering the world into a new age of home energy automation through the convergence of smart home technologies and renewable energy management. Unifying solar energy production, intelligent energy storage, and smart breaker technologies with smart home devices, Pantech Design's complete home energy automation suite incorporates unprecedented control of lighting, shades, climate, security, hot water, electric vehicle charging, and many other systems. Contact Pantech today at pantechdesign.com.
So good morning.
Good morning.
All right.
Good to see you
Great
guys.
to see you, Raghu. How are you?
Absolutely. And
There we go.
Careful with that
I think we had a lot of fun at the last show, so I'm
Oh, of
looking
course.
forward to having
it's-
fun with you guys again.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
yeah.
Well, we try to be at least a little fun. There's no point if you're not having fun.
Exactly.
Um,
And this is a great industry to be in. I mean, especially now. So I think
Even
for
just
sure.
just before we turned on the recorder is exactly what we're talking about. Is how exciting it is
Yeah.
this year. There's so much going on and some really amazing announcements coming from all parties, including yourself.
Yes, and you know there is a buzz I haven't felt that I haven't felt in a few years.
For sure.
In the industry, and I think, and on a serious note, I think it's needed more so now than ever, and so I think we look forward to doing our part, and I think there's a lot of cool stuff we are working on and bringing that to market.
So this is, to introduce this properly here, we're with Raghu Belur of Enphase Energy. Co-founder of Enphase Energy, and we're coming off here. We're at SPI North America Smart Energy Week 2019, Salt Lake City. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us.
Absolutely.
First
yeah.
thing in the morning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
First thing in the morning. I'm glad we were able to connect. Yeah.
Jay likes to call this day zero because
Yep.
it's pre-exhibit
There's no
hall
show floor.
show floor, and so it's a great opportunity, great timing. And actually, we walked into the Puri Hotel here, and you were coming in at the same time we were. We didn't even realize it was you.
Yeah.
So
I had another meeting just before this.
I saw that.
Yeah.
So Jay and I had an opportunity to interview you and maybe your co-founder
Martin Fernage. Yeah.
once about a year and a half ago,
Yeah.
and then you kind of telegraphed a little bit about Ensemble then,
Yeah.
and then of course, only maybe a year ago, less than a year ago, where we talked about Ensemble and about this amazing new technology that we should be showcasing, I guess, here. Are we going to see this in
No,
SPI
no,
this
not
year?
yet. No, we are
Well,
not.
okay, so
Yeah, we are very close. We are in the last throes of it, but we are not. The timing was not exactly.
okay, so
right
we're pretty
for us,
close.
but
We're getting
yeah.
closer.
Yeah.
And so this, what is your game plan here for SPI? Of course, everyone's going to want to hear about Ensemble. That's kind of the thing that is never really been done before. But what's your game plan for SPI, and what are you here to kind of showcase?
Yeah, so we do have some private rooms, and we are bringing customers in. A lot of our customers and partners are coming in and talking to us. We are, it's becoming more and more real now. So we are actually putting down, giving them all the details of it, the specifications of the product, exactly how it's going to work, how it's going to get installed. More importantly, as you start thinking about it as a complete solution, this is no longer about solar. We know that. This is much bigger. This is about energy. And so I think one thing as an industry we need to start doing is start getting trained. There's a lot of training that needs to go into effect, and so we're working with our partners to start the training processes, etc., so that they can get up to speed when they start installing, not just solar, but they're starting installing solar. They're starting to install, of course, storage. They've got software to install. They've got connectivity to install. They've got the micro interconnect device or the gateway to install, etc. So I think as an industry we have to start. Everybody needs to start getting trained into
into installing and deploying energy systems anymore.
Absolutely.
Not solar.
Right. It's no longer about just wiring
I think
a
you-
string of panels.
Yes, exactly. It's going to be the energy coaster.
Energy coaster.
Next to
There you
that.
go. Great point. We're seeing, of course, in Hawaii, we're seeing something in the order of 80% of residential PV permits being pulled are with storage, right?
yeah.
So we've certainly seen over the last few years all kinds of different systems being deployed. I think that there's a huge opportunity here with the Enphase Ensemble program, our system, and really excited to learn more about how that might impact the residential storage market. And I say that really from a perspective of our industry is struggling out there to be able to, kind of right itself after NEM went away back in 2015. It seems like this product has the potential to really to make that change for us or to contribute considerably.
Absolutely. We really think, first and foremost, Hawaii is my favorite place besides weather and the nice beaches and warm sunshine for the obvious reasons. But you guys are always at the forefront you've always been at the forefront of solar. I mean, and so it's very forward-thinking community, bottom line, right? Not devoid of its set of challenges, but definitely very forward-thinking. So I'm not surprised that 80% of all permits being pulled is energy storage. So I think you have to think about NEM going away is actually the biggest catalyst for storage because and this is not just in Hawaii, it's going to happen nationwide in the US. And a corollary to that, what's happening internationally as well, where feed-in tariff, which is what primarily the international market is, you're seeing that the feed-in tariff is reducing so drastically, and the retail cost of electricity has gone up so much that it doesn't make any sense to export a single electron onto the grid. This world is moving towards self-consumption. When you move towards the world of self-consumption, of course, you want a solar solution that's very resilient, which means even in an outage, it can island, as an example. You need storage solution so that you can, use it when the weather is bad, as an example. And I think what's really interesting is starting to think about how can you manage your consumption as well, right?
Sure.
It's not just about solar. I think the third